That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Comic Reviews. I'm Super2, and hey, check this out. I got stuff in my shelf. Yay me. Very excited about that, and still working on other stuff. Got to get art up in the room and whatnot, but we'll get there eventually, I promise. They say buying a house is buying an eternal hobby, always project. And yeah, I'm kind of feeling that. Just doing a little something every other day, it seems. Anyway, I hope everyone had a good week. I'm excited to talk about books tonight. Bit of a light week for me, or what is light now, and I'm definitely thinking of trying to make future weeks a little bit lighter. But before we get into all that, I want to remind people that the voting for the next episode of Comic Book Club is currently ongoing. So if you're interested in joining us for Comic Book Club, then please go to the voting video. I'll leave a link down in the description. Or, hey, here's an idea. I can put it in chat right now for anyone that's here at the moment. Where's it at? Copy link. And paste link. I have to do everything with a mouse because the keyboard's down here. Anyway, yes, so please go to that video now or when the stream's over or whatever, and vote for the next installment of the Comic Book Club. Right now we are doing Independent Week, all what can roughly be called horror books, so hey, it's exciting. I believe Hellboy is in the lead at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, so hey. For those that don't know what the Comic Book Club is, it is a monthly live show where anyone who has a legal copy of whatever book we decide to discuss, based on voting of course, can join. All you need is a microphone and headphones. A webcam is of course preferred, and an internet connection. As far as getting a legal copy, you can buy it at your local comic shop, Amazon, Comixology, DC Universe streaming app now if it's a DC book, which we're not, but anyway. Or, hey, check out your local library. A lot of people don't think about that. So, plenty of options to go check out and get that, whatever it ends up being. So go vote. Go vote. Anyway. I think that'll do it for announcements and stuff. We've started off Geeky Gentleman Horror Month, so I hope people are enjoying that. We got a fan film review coming up tomorrow, so plenty of stuff in motion here. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into what we'll be talking about. We'll start off with Captain America, number 4, followed by Wonder Woman, number 56, Superman, number 4, Marvel's What If Peter Parker Became the Punisher, number 1. And then for throwback reviews, we'll be talking about Joker's Asylum 2, Harley Quinn one-shot from August of 2010. And Darkness. There we go. Yep, Harley Quinn. Always fun. We'll very briefly, just touch on this DC Essential graphic novel collection. And for Trade Talk tonight, we'll discuss Manhattan Projects, Volume 1, Science Bad. So, yeah, plenty of stuff to get into tonight, even though it is a lighter week for me. Let's go ahead and start with Captain America number 4. I'm dropping this. I've just kind of come to this decision where I'm dropping this book, and it's not because it's like excessively bad or anything. It's kind of ridiculous how long I kept up with Nick Spencer's Captain America run, even though I began to hate it at a certain point. And this I don't even hate. I don't even think it's like bad or anything. I just don't care. I'm just like, at least when I was mad, I was invested. Now I'm just like, this is dull. It just feels really boring. Like, it's so weird when Mark Waid was brought onto the book to just kind of give Cap a breath of fresh air for a minute, just kind of cool down after Spencer's run, and I was more invested in that than I am in like this story that's, you know, actually supposed to go somewhere, that wants you to be invested, wants to be important or whatever. And I'm just like, it's just boring. I'm just not really getting into this. And it's not that there aren't ideas here that I like, and this kind of goes to the idea of story has to play a bigger role than a lot of people tend to give it credit for. Story investment has to matter before you can really start to say anything political, because I don't necessarily like the politics of this book, but I find them interesting. I'm enjoying chewing on them in episodes and stuff, but I'm just so not invested in Cap's character here or in any of the situation. It certainly doesn't help that this is trying, and it is really trying, to build off of Spencer's run and go somewhere with that. I don't know. I'm just so blah. I don't care on this, and that's just kind of where I'm left with. The whole issue is just Cap breaking into this bad guy facility. He has to fight Taskmaster and loses, or is losing, while Sharon Carter's being interrogated by this Albanian woman, who apparently is the widow of a woman Sharon Carter killed, because she's the widow of a man. Sorry, Sharon Carter killed because it's reasons. Something that happened back in Captain America number 42 from 2008. That's a bit of a stretch to bring in. I don't know. It's just I'm just wholly uninterested. So I think I'm going to be dropping this book. I want to rotate out the pull list a little bit more, and so some of this stuff where I'm just like, it's not necessarily bad, but I'm just not super invested in, is kind of the stuff that needs to go. I still love Alex Ross's covers, though. I think Alex Ross's covers are fantastic. How sad is it when the cover artist is probably going to be the best thing about your run? And sorry if you heard my phone buzz or if it fucked with the pewter there, microphone or whatever. Hopefully that helps. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Talk about Wonder Woman number 56, The Witching Hour Part 2. DC with these foil covers at the same price as regular. I know I have a bias toward DC. And so, like, I just say, like, I'm dropping this Captain America run. And yeah, it's just happening. And I know I prefer DC. But, like, how can you not? Like, I don't want to be just a DC fanboy or anything right now, but, like, holy shit, that's awesome to do. That is a really cool move that they're releasing these foil covers at the same price as the regular book. I did not ask for this one specifically. It was just in my pull box. It's pretty cool. I cannot lie. That is kind of going above and beyond for your fans, and I really appreciate it, because I'm not the type, even though I think they're cool, I'm not the type to buy a foil cover for really any purpose. I understand there are collectors out there that really appreciate that kind of thing and really enjoy them. I can look at it once in the store and be like, oh, hey, that's cool, and never have to see it again. But to be given a foil cover at the same price as the regular book is pretty sweet. Man. So I really appreciate that. It's also available on Superman number 4. I just love the way the light plays with it. It's fun. Ooh. Why does that create such a good lighting effect? But, like, that's so weird. Anyway. But yeah, so Wonder Woman number 56 continues this The Witching Hour story arc, in which Wonder Woman is dealing with the fact that as a girl, she was apparently marked by an evil god, a witch god, or goddess rather, and there was a mark branded into her forehead that has laid dormant for years until this witch has decided to come forward, brought on by the events in the first story arc of Justice League Dark. And really, I mean, I gotta be honest with y'all, Tynion's writing a horror comic. Tynion is writing a straight-up horror book, and yeah. So we start off with this beautiful unicorn drinking from a stream. Then this shit happens. Swamp Thing's kidnapping a unicorn. Kurt Langstrom's back there ready to drug it. And then they're all arguing. Constantine makes it pass out using a hex. And Wonder Woman's just sitting there watching from the corner. It's like, this is wrong. It's so creepy. So the temptation is to say Wonder Woman would never be okay with this. That is very out of character for her. That's kind of immediately squashed by the fact that she's on a team with a bunch of magic users. And so even though she has objections to it, Detective Chimp is right there and he says, look, Di, if we don't succeed at this, there aren't going to be any more unicorns. I know, Bobo, but still, look how frightened it is. This is all wrong. Oh. And so they've live captured a unicorn, and are taking it to an island to barter with Cersei. What I really like about this is there's a very hard magic system that Tynion's introducing into the DC universe without necessarily having to fuck with the rules of the other characters, because this is a thing that you have a lot with magic stuff. I feel like you'll have a character like Enchantress whose powers are based on some voodoo bullshit evil god, blah blah blah. And then you have a character like Dr. Fate whose powers are based on an immortal god of order. And like, so what are these concurrent? How's this working? And so you'll often have this contradictory shit when you got a big universe and all these different magic systems somehow existing concurrently. And so Tynion's giving some really big, broad, general rules that are just working. And what I really like about it, though, is he's grounding them in characters. Constantine and Zatanna are talking about how Diana is reacting to the fact that they just captured a unicorn. And Constantine says, she's starting to understand what the cost of magic feels like. She'd been told how it muddles up your world, but she never felt it before now. She's going to have to learn fast. If she doesn't, I don't know what hope we have. Man, that's too good. I really like that. So anyways, they go to barter with Cersei, and apparently a fucking unicorn is the cost. Cersei's unpleased to see them, immediately turns Swamp Thing, Langstrom and Constantine, and Detective Chimp into animals, which is cute. And then there's all fire and brimstone announcing Diana, and it's like, what are you here for? Then it shows her the mark. And I love the subversion in this. She's marked you? And it goes back to the appearance that she had at the beginning of, or in the middle of Rucka's run of Wonder Woman. I quite like that. You'll have to give the theatrics. I'm a few thousand years old, and I do enjoy the camp of the superhero game quite a bit. The silly outfits, the punching, it keeps things from getting tedious. But this is not the time for such things, is it? The witching hour has begun. Oh, Diana, I'm terribly sorry. It's going to get so much worse from here. Like, oh, I just love the subversion of that. Like, they build this up like this whole issue is going to be a big knockdown, drawn-out brawl with Cersei, and then she's just like, oh, this is going to be a problem. Like, that works on so many levels for me, particularly at I just like the superhero game that she's got going to her. Like, that's really, really fun. Because, like, what would the worst thing about being immortal be? The answer is boredom. It's boring to be immortal because just everything's there. So the idea of, superheroes are right now. Okay, this will be fun for a while. This will be a nice idle distraction. I'll just be a supervillain. I can totally see it. And so that's really fun. But then it's like, oh, wait. Shit, now it's time to get serious. All right, let's drop that. Let's drop all that. I really like that. I like the idea that plays with. Also, this design for Cersei is so much better than this. It's kind of ridiculous. This looks like it's probably more fun to draw and everything. I really dig this. That's so laid back and just cooler. Anyway. Meanwhile, a Native American magic user who I don't know is off to Nanda Parbat to stir up trouble. Dead Man's investigating that side of thing. And this is probably the most talky this book's gotten as far as just everything is connected in Justice League Dark. This just seems to be the book that's like mostly just explaining everything that's going on in the background, and it gives you the background on the witch goddess and all this stuff. And I don't know, I quite liked it. It's definitely the book I spent the most time on. But Tynion's smart. He's a really smart writer. I gotta give him credit. He does stuff here that just makes it more fun to read, so it's definitely an exposition dump. There's no getting around it. But he just makes the exposition dump really, really fun. Detective Chimp's at a table with Cersei, who's now entertaining everyone. And he's there, he's like, Cersei, I've read the Odyssey. Every translation. This wine? And Cersei says, I'll have you know, I heard the Odyssey and the Iliad from the lips of Homer himself in this very room. I almost gave him his sight back for including me. The wine's from California, Bubba. I didn't touch it. I just really like that. It's so much fun. I just enjoyed it. So yeah, it's a big exposition dump about the witch goddess and how she seals away part of her power. Her power is so immense that she has to seal parts of it away, and she chooses people to seal it in and passes it down as they live and die, and has been for years. But now that the whole nether realm, or whatever it's called, is a threat, she's like, well, I've been unhappy with magic's direction in this world anyway, so I'm just going to take my power back and fuck you all over. That seems to be the case. Oh my god, how did I not notice that? This is a great panel. Oh, this is I love this panel so much. That is gorgeous. Look at Swamp Thing drinking wine. Oh, I love it to death. Oh, man. Anyway, then Wonder Woman asks for Cersei's help about how to control the witch's mark. And her and Zatanna get in a whole fight about it. Dead Man shows up, explains about what's happening in Nanda Parbat, and it's like, well, we've got to have something to take her on. It's like Wonder Woman says, "Don't worry, Boston. There is." And it's Wonder Woman trying to channel and control the powers of the witching hour, of the witch goddess. I really enjoy this. It's really fun. I don't know, like, just Diana is a bit of a control freak, I feel. I feel like she's a person who doesn't like to feel vulnerable at all. So the idea that she's found out that she's been marked by this god against her will and all this stuff, and she's never known about it for years. The idea that would really piss her off, and she'd jump at the first opportunity to take any kind of control of it, even with the risk that she might not actually be able to control it. I just love it. I love that. That's so in character to me, as kind of like a desperate version of Wonder Woman. I thought that's really cool. I'm digging it. This is a good book. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is Justice League Dark issue whatever. It's not really just Wonder Woman's story or anything like that. It's all tied in with the Justice League Dark stuff. But it's fine. If you're reading both, which I feel you really should be, provided you can afford it, I think Wonder Woman's character is handled really well in Justice League Dark. I feel she's a great fit to lead a Justice League team, and to put her on the Magic team, I think is really, really cool. Most of the time she's always on the Justice League, but it's usually Batman or Superman that's like the leader. And I can kind of go for that being a fan of Batman, and I can understand it being, even though I'm not a huge fan of Superman. But, man, I wish Wonder Woman could get more spotlight. So to see her leading a Justice League team like this, I think is really, really cool. Some gorgeous art in here, too. Let me get the artist's name real quick. Emanuela Lupacchino. Lupacchino? I don't fucking know. I don't know how to pronounce anyone's name sometimes. I think the art in here is just absolutely fantastic. Like, just, the effect on that is so cool. Like, that's probably more the colorist, but such a good job. That time Wonder Woman went Super Saiyan. Oh, that's tweet-worthy. Hold on. Give me a minute. I'm sorry. I should have done this earlier, but I'm doing it now, so that's just what's happening. Oh. I know this is the kind of quality entertainment you all expect from me tweeting live, but I'm going to do it because I can, and you can't stop me. Hashtag remember that time went Super Saiyan. Not sane, no. Let's try that again. What is it? Saiyan? It's how I always fuck it up. Remember that time Wonder Woman went Super Saiyan? There we go. Good quality tweets. That's what you come here for. Good quality live tweets. So yeah, the art in here is really fantastic too. And again, I love that panel of Swamp Thing drinking wine. That's really cool. Just neat stuff. I really like it. It's fun. Also, Swamp Thing getting turned into a boar is pretty cool. Yeah. Good Good shit. Good shit. Shit's good. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Talk about Superman number 4. This is almost entirely a big action-packed issue, with one exception. But basically, Rogol is now attacking Earth, or more directly, Superman, with Jax from the Phantom Zone. And Superman's trying to fight him off and walk other people through how to get the Earth out of the Phantom Zone at the same time. So it's a pretty classic Superman-style situation. I'll skip straight to the end. It looks like they maybe succeed. Superman gets Rogol off the planet just as the Atom shrinks the entire Earth to send it back through the Phantom Zone projector. And yeah, but it looks like Superman and Rogol are stuck in the Phantom Zone together. And then we get kind of an ominous ending where we see Adam Strange on Earth's supposed location, but there's still nothing there. So maybe they didn't quite make it back, or maybe it's just small still. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole story. It's pretty much just a big action fight, which is great because Ivan Reis's art is absolutely incredible. Though I do have a little bit of a complaint in it, about it here. The scene that's not action and is just a flashback that I really, really enjoyed and honestly kind of need. Is this scene of Superman in the junkyard with John. I really, really appreciate this. It kind of pads out the middle of the issue, just giving us little flashes back to it in the middle of this fight with Rogol, and it's really, really good. So John's kind of just taking all his anger out on this junkyard, tearing through cars, screaming, and Superman's just standing there letting him. John, it's not fair. Sometimes life isn't not fair. Sometimes life isn't fair. What's fair, Dad, is we can go over there right now and we could what? You know what we could do. Show them what happens when you mess with us. What could we do, John? So they can just say whatever they want about us and we're not allowed to say or do anything back? You can say whatever you want to whomever you want. But these gossips, they lie about us like every day. Every day they just make something up and people are going to believe it. So anyone we don't like, we should what? You know what I mean. There's a difference between not liking someone and someone being evil incarnate succubus losers from Loserville who... Kid, this is the hard part. Fighting fires and catching bullets, we were built for that. Taking it on the chin from people who should know better, who sometimes do know better, can sometimes take the fun out of it. I didn't say that. It's still a lot of fun a lot of the time. It's a lot of fun almost all the time. And hey, I get it. You must know I want to pop Batman's head off his body every day I'm alive. And so I really like this scene. But I will say, as much as I love Ivan Reis's art, this look of confusion on John Kent's face just doesn't quite work. Come on, focus. It's hard to see it here, but yeah, it's a bit better distance. Now, I get what it's supposed to be. It's not what I don't think that's what it looks like. I think it's supposed to be confusion. It looks like he just had a stroke. Anyway, so John and Clark keep talking. I thought you liked Batman. I do. He's like my brother, but as you yourself have witnessed on numerous occasions, he often says and does things that I disagree with every fiber of my being. He drives you nuts. And I could stop him, pop his head right off. Dad, it would solve the problem. But I remind myself, hey, it's Batman. Wait 5 minutes. And I do, and every time he turns around and does the greatest thing I've ever seen anyone ever do, then he does it again the next day. So patience. And a little trust in others. Sure, not everyone is Batman. Thank God. True. I'm saying these people you're frustrated with today, they might not be doing their best today, but they might tomorrow. It happens every day. Wait for it. What I'm saying is, you have something greater than strength. You have intellect, understanding. Even now at this young age, you have perspective. Oh my God, I love that. That is just such good Superman writing to me. Oh. Bendis is really selling me on his take on Superman. He really feels like he wants to be writing this. He wants to be doing this character, and he's doing a really, really great job with it. So I really appreciate that. And it's just great. It's just a really good father-son kind of moment. Superman's like the best dad. I can't believe it took us this long to make it happen because it's such a natural fit and it works so well. Yep. Great issue. Really great issue. I'm appreciating the absolute hell out of this. Great work. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the last normal single issue of the week, and that is What If Peter Parker Became the Punisher? So I remember doing the monthly comic roundup / news show with Vac, and we went over the what ifs, and I was like, oh yeah, I might pick up some of those. This is definitely the one that made me go, Well, we'll see how this goes. It's not very good. So often with these what ifs, it feels like they just try to cover the gambit and give you almost an entire character history of an alternate universe version of this character. That's just kind of unsatisfying, because you don't really get much insight into the character. It's like kind of reading a Wikipedia article or something. It never really works for me when they do them like this. And so it's pretty much the Peter Parker origin with some slight differences. He was actually the punishing spider as like a wrestling persona for a little while before Uncle Ben got killed. He got too cocky, and that's what led him to letting the robber get away as opposed to like getting ripped off. But then he goes and kills Uncle Ben's killer, and for a while goes soft on some of his supervillains, but eventually just gets tired of them and decides to kill them all, and then kind of tries to move on from it, gets involved with Gwen Stacy, gets pulled back into it with Norman Osborn, kills Norman Osborn, manages to save Gwen Stacy, which I thought was an interesting choice, I guess. And then decides to leave the life behind and not be the punishing spider ever again. And I did like this. I thought this was a cool way to, do the comic book cover callback kind of moment and all that stuff, but I don't know, kind of unnecessary. But because he gave up his war on crime, the mobsters still got in a gunfight and killed Frank Castle's family, and Frank Castle wandered away and found the Punisher's uniform, and so the Punisher, Frank Castle still became the Punisher in this universe, and Peter Parker got to murder people but still have a happy ending, ? I don't know, it's this whole fucking character biography. It goes from the origin all the way to, him quitting, and I'm just like, I really could have just gone for, a single issue, a mission, a little snapshot. Give me a page of backstory of, what transpired differently to get him to this point, and then just fucking tell a story with it. And I'd be so much more there for it than like this really unsatisfying character background. It's like, oh yeah, I killed this villain and this villain and this villain. Yeah, and I get I'm supposed to be somewhat invested in that because of the hype around the villains, but ultimately I'm just like, it's just what's really the point? It's kind of boring. That's really all I got. It's kind of a boring, pointless read. Not gonna go so far as to say a waste of $4, but there are definitely better things you can spend $4 on. Because it's really just, what if Spider-Man had a skull in his chest and actually killed his villains? His life would be better. I don't know what the takeaway is supposed to be there. It's not very good. I always wonder why they don't do what ifs, and then I read some what ifs and I'm like, oh, that's why. Alright, now let's go on to the throwback review for this week. Boom! Infinite window of infiniteness. Okay. This page is no longer loading. Let's see what happens if I fast forward in the stream a bit. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm broadcasting still. Oh, there we go. Cool. Wrong tab. There. Alright. So here we are with Joker's Asylum 2, Harley Quinn. This is a one-shot from back in 2010. I absolutely love this comic, and so when I was browsing through the DC Universe app, which I'm kind of in love with, I could not help but give it a reread. So I've actually got kind of an interesting history with this comic. Let me go over here to my YouTube videos and pull something up. Harley Quinn. I've talked about this in a number of videos, but you know, you may have missed it for one reason or another. I've done a lot of Harley Quinn stuff over the years. Joker's Asylum, Harley Quinn, posted in September of 2010. One of my more highly viewed videos. This is a motion comic. Oh, let me mute that. This is a motion comic I did before my video editing skills were very good. I did this back with a fucking Windows Movie Maker of all things. But yeah, so this is a motion comic. I believe they're more calling them comic dubs nowadays. I found a really good voice actress who could do a great Harley Quinn. So that should give you some sense of how much I fucking love this book. I added some stuff because I was indulgent. But yeah, that'll give you some idea of how much I love this issue. So, in my humble opinion, as someone with a very particular sense of how Harley Quinn should be written, this is the single best official Harley Quinn comic ever published. As far as like books DC has actually put out with Harley Quinn as the main character in them, this is the best story. And that should be a reason enough to go read it, or you can go watch this video. But let's go ahead and talk about it. So, this issue starts with Joker playing Crypt Keeper. And I swear to God, if I go back to the end, I have the hardest time with this. I really do. It's only when I stream that I have these kinds of problems. It's kind of ridiculous. Something's going to happen here. Something is going to happen. I'm going to page 2. I want to flip through the book. Or not. Cover. Okay, let's just try hitting buttons and seeing what happens here. Let's reload the page. Oh, anything can happen live, folks. Anything can happen live. When they tell you, hey, just do all digital because it's cheaper. Yeah, about that. Man, I'm having the hardest time today. I think it might also be my connection. My connection's a little weaker up here. Alright, let's try this one more time. All right, so this opens with Joker doing a little Crypt Keeper style intro, which was pretty much a staple of the Joker's Asylum series. It was 2 volumes, a bunch of one-shots. They're hit and miss. This is definitely the best story out of all of them, but the Two-Face story from Volume 1 is also really good, and the Penguin story as well. Anyway, so yeah, Joker doing a little Crypt Keeper thing and kind of giving us an introduction to the story. The story begins with Harley Quinn breaking out of Arkham Asylum. She has a brief conversation with Dr. Arkham, who's wondering why she would be leaving when she's up for parole in 3 weeks. And then she says, well, I'm not going to be away from my pudding on today of all days. And Arkham says, oh my god, I forgot. Forget? How could you forget? It's the most wonderful day of the entire year. My favorite day of the year. It's Valentine's Day. So she escapes Arkham just to go be with the Joker on Valentine's Day. And so I know there's a lot of, like, you know, history between the characters, and that she's constantly, like, been abused by the Joker and all that stuff. And that's, yeah, I get it. But the notion that she's just so head over heels and constantly trying to get to him, I really, really love that dynamic for the two of them. And I think it works really well to create a fun dynamic for the character. I will admit, I don't know how long you can keep that going. So for the ongoing stuff, I realize why they've cut that connection. For standalone stuff like this, it's absolutely perfect. Anyway, she arrives to go speak to to spend her romantic evening with the Joker, to find that he's been kidnapped. All of his men have been murdered or brutally beat. And now she's got to go find the Joker. And everyone keeps asking her what she wants. And, like, this starts a running gag of, instead of useful things like mercenaries, she wants a box of chocolates. And now we have Falcone, who is running a raffle. He's kidnapped the Joker, and all these guys. Let's get some panel action here. All these guys that have been hurt by the Joker. Oh, I'm going down pages. All right, yeah, there we go. All these guys have been hurt by the Joker physically, are bidding on him. Okay, come on, work with me here. This thing's a little bit difficult. Page. Turn off landscape. There we go. All these guys have been hurt by the Joker. I'm skipping pages now. Are you serious? This is annoying. All these guys have been hurt by the Joker, are bidding on him. Harley Quinn shows up, attacks them all, finds the Joker's location, gets Falcone to promise to buy her a bottle of wine. Pages are out of order now. That's strange. I'm having the hardest time tonight. But before she can go to the location, she has confronted by the police and is just an unstoppable force, demanding the lemon ganache chocolates as well. Then at the hideout where they're storing the Joker, she crashes the fucking car through the wall to get to him, takes out all the henchmen, sprays one with acid out of a flower. Absolutely adorable. Then seems to find the Joker gone, not tied up and kidnapped as he should be, and is very upset, realizing that Batman has taken him and is ready to take Batman on. And Batman doesn't deny that she'll be able to tonight, and says that he's actually put Joker back in the asylum, and she can go see him as long as she turns herself in. She does. Seeing the Joker, she's so happy about the prospect of spending Valentine's Day together, and Joker, of course, ruins it for her and says, "Where's my present?" They slam the door because she's going crazy now. And that's the end of the story. Joker at the end here gives us a little more Crypt Keeper-y thing, talking about how even the most innocent looking things can be dangerous sometimes, and shows a little puppy eating a dead bird, so that's nice and sweet. Yeah, I absolutely adore this story. The idea that Harley Quinn would go to any length to be with the Joker is really, really fun and creates just this hilarious dynamic that works. This is by far, for me, the best officially published DC Harley Quinn story. I've read some good fan fictions and stuff too, but this is the only thing I've found comic-wise that I feel really does a great job with her character. And it's fun. It's super fun to read, and it's just really enjoyable out-of-continuity story that kind of gets it, or at least gets what I interpret her character to be. I've always been of the opinion that Harley Quinn is a really great character, but is inextricably tied to the Joker. And one of the problems that I have with things that try to write her is they just try to write her as independent. I'm like, I get what you're going for, but I don't buy it. It's not working for me, and I feel that there is a need to have her connected to this character, even though he is abusive and stuff. I don't really see a way to, for me at least, and I'm probably in the minority because I know she's had several successful series that have nothing to do with the Joker. For me at least, I don't understand the appeal of Harley Quinn if she's not connected to the Joker in some way, shape, or form, and so I try to really try my best, but I can't read anything and get much enjoyment out of it where there's not some kind of tangential connection to the Joker. And it doesn't even have to be like centered around him like this whole story is, but I feel like he should always be kind of there in the background, like just looming throughout the entirety of the story in some way, shape, or form. The way I tend to think about it is kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Oz is barely in that fucking thing, but it's the whole thing's about him. I don't know, just one of those things. Yep, that'll do it for the throwback review. Absolutely fantastic story, and really do love it to death. Go back to that. All right, there we go. Whew. Okay, let's briefly talk about the DC Essential Graphic Novels 2019 book. This was free, which is why I got it. I thought it was cute how it opened with this little mini comic of Black Manta breaking into the vaults or the Library of Atlantis to steal the DC Essential Graphic Novels book. And Aquaman and Mira have to stop him, and it's a little 3-page comic. It was cute, fun, good art. This has a bunch of recommendations and things about what you could or should get graphic novel wise for all these different characters. Most of them are recommendations I generally agree with. Not really much to say about all that. The only other really useful thing that I kind of am happy I have this for is in the very, very back. It's not perfect, but DC Comics reading order. That's useful. That is very useful. So I was quite pleased with that. Really, though, it's just a bunch of like, oh, you like this character? Well, check out these graphic novels. These are good. Or check out these ongoing series right now. These are good. So I appreciated that. That's just cool. Let's do it for Harley Quinn, since we were just talking about her. They recommend Suicide Squad Volume 1 from the New 52. New Suicide Squad Volume 1. I believe that's from Rebirth. Suicide Squad Volume 1, The Blackout. No, that one's Rebirth, right? I don't know. Batman the Killing Joke for Harley Quinn? What? Batman Adventures Mad Love makes sense. Harley Quinn... the deluxe edition? I don't even know what that is. Harley Quinn Volume 1, Hot in the City. That's the New 52 book. Harley Quinn Volume 1, Die Laughing. That's Rebirth. And Harley Quinn Volume 1, Harley vs. Apocalypse. Never read it. No interest. But yeah. So these cool little recommendations for characters. They've got the Flash, and it's got like Flashpoint and Rebirth. Flash by Jeff Johns, book 1, The Flash Silver Age. That's cool. Bunch of stuff like that. Yeah, I could see it. Maybe doing a little too much of Williamson's run in there, but hey, fair enough. Yeah, it's just cool. It's got a bunch of cool recommendations, and hey, the reading order is kind of the reason I kept it. I was going to throw it out otherwise. But yeah, nice free book. So that's going to do it for that. And that'll do it for the new material, including the throwback review for the week. And now I'm going to go on to Trade Talks. I'm going to get out of the chat. Hope you don't mind. Sorry. All right. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. This week we have the Manhattan Projects Volume 1, Science Bad. This is written by Jonathan Hickman, and this is a story that I've been hearing about from time to time. I think Hickman's a pretty good writer, even though I've not read a ton of his stuff. So I was curious what he was going to be doing in here. I know he really likes sci-fi and whatnot, and so the notion of the title alone definitely interests me, because I we do History Month on Geeky Gentleman every year. I think about history and in particular the Manhattan Project quite a bit. So I was really curious with what this was going to be. I kind of hate this book. And it's not that I think it's bad. I really don't. I think for what it's trying to do, it does a fine job of it. I hate the concept. So what's the concept? The Manhattan Project, for those that don't know, and shame on you for not knowing, was the project that built the first nuclear bomb. Kind of the most significant aspect in human history. The bomb is the most mind-blowing, scary achievement ever. To quote Oppenheimer, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." The power of God in the human hand. It's freaky shit. So, what's the book about? Well, this general character says, "At first this will seem excessive, but our security guidelines and containment protocols have been designed to the highest standards for a very good reason. We're protecting the country's greatest secrets. The problems with these secrets is many of them are wrapped in conspiracy, and nothing tickles curiosity like mystery. So we hide our most important lies underneath the more tolerable one. That the Manhattan Project is a research and development program tasked with building and deploying the world's first atomic bomb. I assure you, Dr. Oppenheimer, the truth is, we are working on much more interesting things." And then you kind of get all this crazy sci-fi shit where, like, there's just, like, Einstein's in a room looking at a monolith that looks straight out of 2001, and then suddenly the Manhattan Project is attacked by, a red Torgi, no doubt Zen-powered by death Buddhists. I can't believe they built a damn gateway. So what you got here is like this weird fucking, and then like they're attacked by an army of robot samurai, and I'm sure there are people out there that like love this kind of shit. I don't. The Manhattan Project is probably the scariest shit that's ever happened in human history. No, definitely is. The idea that you need to make up anything to make it interesting, and I'm not saying that's what Hickman's trying to do, but the idea that like just the notion. I'm not saying he's trying to like to put this out as this is what it was actually about. No, of course not. I mean, just the real history is fucking fascinating. The idea of doing a fake version of it, the idea of doing like this crazy, action-packed, kooky sci-fi version of it is just wholly uninteresting, because I promise you, you are not going to make up anything more interesting than what actually happened. Maybe less horrifying, but definitely not more interesting. And so I just, the whole premise of this is something I just don't have much tolerance for, honestly. And I mean, I don't know, there's stuff in here I definitely should love, like a Nazi scientist, the Nazi rocket scientist that got Americans to the moon because Americans are cowards, because Operation Paperclip has like a robot arm, and yeah, that's cool and all, but no, I just don't care. There are scenes in here that I like, but I just, like, they're definitely well written, they're definitely thought out in a cool way, but it's just, I know a lot of the history behind this stuff, so scenes like this are just not as good to me. So apparently Albert Einstein just stares at this monolith night and day. And Feynman walks in and says, "Bad news, doctor. You're needed in the main lab. I'm busy." "No, you're sitting there staring at your monolith, which is the same thing you do every day, except when one of us insists you help with something else. You're the opposite of busy, and we need help with the bomb." So far, we've come up with functional designs for two possible delivery systems: a simpler gun-type fission bomb and a more complex implosion-type nuclear weapon. The problem we need your help with, is there's no consensus on which design to use. We're at an impasse. We need to regain the project's forward motion. And just build both. What did you say, Doctor? I said, then just build both. Yeah, that's a pretty good scene. I can't lie, like, that is very compelling, and I do like it. It kind of shows the impassiveness. It gives you a great sense of Einstein's character in this, and I mean, it's not entirely unlike Einstein in real life. It's just, again, I'm so much more interested in the actual history of Feynman at the fucking Manhattan Project stealing people's notes as a joke. Like, did you know that? Did you know that Richard Feynman, genius, worked on the Manhattan Project and got bored and would steal people's notes and information and work on the project and hide it for fun? Government loved that. So, yeah, I don't know, stuff like this, I'm just like, yeah, it's whatever. FDR dies, and they put his brain into a giant computer. There's this weird-ass scene with Truman, as soon as he takes office, being briefed on the Manhattan Project, and they really start to fuck with things here. Being briefed on the Manhattan Project as they're going to drop the bomb. Like, as the Enola Gay is flying to drop the bomb. And they're asking, all right, President, the decision needs to be made right now. You got about 2 minutes. Do you want us to drop the bomb or not? And Truman looks over his nose like, wait, tell me about this place. Tell me what's going on. And they lie. And Truman says, no, don't do it. Don't drop the bomb. The general pretends not to hear him and all this stuff, and they drop the bomb anyway. Which, no, why? That's an interesting fictionalization of things, and it's definitely compelling and scary, and has all kinds of implications of what the Manhattan Project actually is and all this stuff. After Hiroshima, at the urging General Groves and Director Oppenheimer, the FDR artificial intelligence established a shadow government of the United States. Like, stuff like that, it's kooky and crazy and fun conspiracy theory stuff, but the actual history of Truman's decision to drop the bomb is way more fucked. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that. The actual history of Truman's decision to drop the bomb is more fucked than a rogue general pretending not to hear him give the order not to do it over the phone and drop it anyway at the behest of FDR's artificial intelligence, and in lieu of establishing a shadow government in the United States. The actual history is more interesting. What is the actual history? And, well, to give the brief version of it, Truman was lied to and was told that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were completely military targets. You can go back and read Truman's diaries, and he would remark on them that history would look kindly upon him for choosing to use such a devastating weapon in such a precise way to only impact the Japanese war machine and not on a civilian population, even though the war had escalated to such a point of total war so that civilians were fair game too. And he was under this opinion because he'd asked his generals for a list of targets, and they gave him Hiroshima and Nagasaki and told him that they were military-only targets. Which is, I mean, it's not untrue. They definitely had military functions to the same degree that any city in Japan in the war had military functions. It's a small fucking island with few cities at the time, relatively speaking. They had to use their resources anywhere they could. The U.S. military deceived the President of the United States because they were giddy and excited to use the bomb against the Japanese. That's more scary, more terrifying, and damn sure more interesting than Truman on the phone with some general who just decides to do it. And so I read stuff like this, and I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see what the appeal is, but it doesn't work for me at all. They meet with aliens. It does not go well. Einstein's attacked by a parallel universe version of himself. Oppenheimer eats an alien alive. They attack a civilization of aliens, killing literally all of them. I'm sure I've read Hickman's other sci-fi stuff. He definitely thinks about this stuff a lot and tries to come up with really inventive and clever shit. It's just never as interesting as I want it to be. Like, I like Red Wing to some degree, but it's not like blow me away or anything. This, I'm just like, the real history is more interesting anyway. It's kind of what I'm left with. I don't think that it's bad. I think it's perfectly well written for what it's trying to do. But I kind of hate it. That's all I got. Everyone, thank you very much for watching this episode of Trade Talk. If you love this book, good for you. I don't. Until next time. Bye. Oh. Man. Alright, anyway. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Comic Reviews. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Till next time. Bye.